Marshal Earp?
That's right.
Well, you better get your people ready for a fight. Knife is headed this way with lots of Cheyenne and war paint.
Where'd you see him?
About 30 miles down the trace from the Indian nations. I changed horses now, rode them, but they'll be here in 2 hours. Let's get yourself time to get organized.
Now, take it easy.
But,
Look, just take it easy. Yelling Indian and causing the panic isn't going to help us. Mr. Masterson, you take our friend here over to the Long Branch and buy him some cold beer. You go along with Mr. Masterson, and I thank you for your warning.
Why? Shouldn't we get set for him?
It'll be a couple hours before sundown. Cheyenne are too smart to raid a town when it's dark. Anyway, I have a hunch my Indian scouts should be in to tell me about it. You any idea why Dull Knife is sore at this town?
Well, a Crow Indian friend of mine said the Cheyenne were headed here. That's all I know, Mr.
Buy him all the beer he can drink. Keep asking him not to talk.
Why? Payday isn't till Saturday.
All right. Here. It's enough for supper, too.
Thanks, White.
Yes, sir.
I didn't signal for the artillery. Take it back in the rack, Harry.
Mr. Brother, Mr. Cousins.
Me.
Oh.
Now, my friends, what is all this about Dull Knife?
Who?
2 white men kill men who fights. Then they treat Shaidive, his wife, as Apaches do. She tell us, then she kill herself for shame.
That is very ugly. Did the wife name the men before she died?
No, Mr. Only that men who fights told her they belong in Dutch City.
Sikapi Tokimon, Suk, Marshal Suk.
Shaidive, good wife. She fight and scratch white men on face.
Oh.
After it happened, she take knife so. When Dull Knife hear this, very angry.
Well, I don't blame him. But I think Dull Knife and his men were very foolish to have jumped the reservation. They'd even be more foolish to make a raid on Dodge. It's too big a town, too many guns.
Dull Knife never count guns, Mr. Erb.
Well, men with scratches on their face shouldn't be too hard to find. You know anything else about him?
Ho. Napikon. Scout. Newt long knife. Edwi.
Men who fights was scout for soldiers, like us. Mr. Brother thinks white men scout when in army with Dull Knife.
Well, that'll help us. Are you friendly with Dull Knife?
Yes, but in warpath he's friend to no man.
But you will go to him and make talk, huh?
What talk?
I want you to explain to Dull Knife that we have law here. I will catch the 2 white men that murdered his people, and the law will hang them.
Hang white men for killing Indian? You joke, Mr. Erb.
No, I'm not joking. Murder is murder. I give you my word they'll be caught and hanged. You tell Dull Knife that. Ask him to wait for a message from me.
Wait, how long?
Well, tell him one day.
Ho.
Good. We talk with Dull Knife.
Thank you, my friends. I am ashamed that our white brothers do this, but they will hang for it.
You always tell truth, Mr. Erb.
Dull knife. Nupi. Ho. Suk.
We do not promise Dull Knife will listen, but we talk and say what you are saying.
Tahome.
Tehome.
Nehe.
Oh, it's not too bad. Pretty good. Yes, too.
Marshal, we're supposed to see you.
What for?
Never mind. Come on, you're not under arrest.
No,
See you.
Look, Bat, I haven't got no gun. I didn't do anything. You know that.
Hold it. You fellas will have to come down to the jail. Let's go.
All right, take off your hats. Let me see your forearms. Knife cut, you can go. Roll up your sleeves. How'd you get those marks?
Well, horse shied from a rattlesnake. I went in some brush.
You can go. I'm holding you. Stand over there. Rest of you men, roll up your sleeves.
Who says so?
I said roll up your sleeves. You stand over there, too. Fingernail scratches. You stand over there. Bare your arms all the way. Two of you can go. Well, Mr. Jameson. Looks like a woman scratched you.
Yes, sir. My wife, she's
Last time it was a black guy, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Better luck next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, two of you murdered an Indian. His wife, she... You want to talk about it? What are their names?
Stevens, Miller, and Dort.
All this whoop to do about an Indian?
We done it, we should get a reward.
Is that how you feel about it, Mr. Dort?
You're just picking on me because they kicked me out of the Army.
Oh, you were a soldier, too, huh? Well, how come you haven't got any cross sabers?
I don't like tattooing. Woman scratched me, sure. You prove it was an Indian. I wasn't nowhere near Buffalo Creek.
This time, Earp's really put his foot in it. Arresting men just because some Indian and a squaw got killed. Who's gonna back him on a stupid play like this? Right now, General Custer's on his way to get Sitting Bull. Our own soldiers risking their lives while Earp goes over to the side of these red savages.
Trouble, Wyatt. Looks like they have friends.
Well, that's a big mystery. All right, you lock them up. I'll have a talk with their friends.
All right, let's go. Inside.
Earp, we've come for a showdown. We're at war with the Indians. Are you on their side?
No, Mr. Albright.
Well, then turn Miller, Dort, and Stevens loose. And do it right now.
I arrested those men on suspicion of murder. Not just murder alone.
Ah, she was only a squaw.
That's enough.
Oh, it is it?
Look, Mr. Albright, I had a run-in with you once before. All I did was slap your face when you hired Clay Allison to gun me. Then you forged my name when you tried to buy Jim Kelly's saloon, remember?
Now, you can't prove it.
But I can prove you're wearing a gun and leading the mob now. You men sure picked a fine leader. He's as yellow as they come.
You gonna take that, Pete?
He wouldn't draw on a 10-year-old kid with a pop gun. All right, the rest of you drop him. Go on, drop him. You pick him up inside later. Pick him up and take him to Doc McCarty's. Go on, move. Pick up the guns.
There were some men with hefty influence in that crowd.
And we'll let them use their pull. I don't want any men coming up to this jail with guns. Next time they try that, a lot of them are going to go home with buckshot in their legs.
You and I have scouted with Indians. We know them. But you can't expect a lot of scared greenhorns to understand what we're trying to do.
Why not? They can understand common ordinary justice, can't they?
Not for Indians, Wyatt.
Look, I don't care who it's for. The law says you can't murder them. I stand on that.
Everybody does when they're not too scared to think. With all this talk of Dull Knife raiding us and the Sioux on the warpath against Custer. Howdy, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Kenton.
Evening, Bat.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Circuit Attorney.
Wyatt, we came to ask...
Don't weaken now, George. We came to tell you that this nonsense has gone on long enough. It's time for plain talk.
I'm sorry, Wyatt, but public opinion is against you.
Not only that, but you don't have evidence enough for me to prosecute anyone for killing Indians. No corpus delicti, no witnesses. In fact, not even jurisdiction.
I'm working on that, Mr. Kenton.
Not in this town.
Even if you had a case, we couldn't get a jury. We all have to be practical, Wyatt.
You almost fractured Pete Albright's skull. He can sue the city.
Yeah, he deserved what he got. But that doesn't help matters. I'm asking you as your friend to turn those 3 men loose.
Then you and Mr. Kitten will have to make that an order.
Very well. As circuit attorney, order their release. At once.
All right, release the prisoners.
Yes, sir.
2 of those men are murderers and worse.
Now, Wyatt.
I obeyed the order because as city marshal, I have no other choice. But I'm also a United States deputy marshal. And the murder of an Indian happens to be a federal crime.
You show that evidence to a federal judge and see what happens.
That's just what I aim to do, Mr. Kitten. I gave my word that I'd try and break this case. When it's prosecuted, I'm not going to have a peewit like you standing in my way. Happy election returns, gentlemen.
You heard what he said. Why don't you fire him?
He's the best marshal Dodge City ever had. You know, if that boy could learn to think like a politician, he'd be governor someday.
Sure the 3 of them went in there?
Not 5 minutes ago. All of them toting guns.
Stand back. Dort. What happened?
I was pals with Miller and Stevens in the Army. So I kept my mouth shut. But I know they done it. They picked a fight with me and...
I must have gone out the side door. You don't have to go with me.
Quit wasting time. Come on.
Take him on over to the coroner's office.
We could not find Doll Knife.
Maybe he circled around.
We catch 2 men. Come look.
Were they riding out of Dodge?
Yes. 1 horse break leg and gopher hole. When they stop, we put guns on them. Come look.
We sure will, Mr. Cook. Well, Miller and Stevens. Good morning, gentlemen. You didn't kill Dort fast enough. He told us you murdered the Indian.
That's a lie.
Oh,
No. They must be tried according to law. Untie him.
I do not understand. They kill men who fights in Shidav.
My friend, I promised you they would be punished according to law. There's a federal judge at the fort. We'll take him there.
You got no proof.
Mr. Masterson, give me your pad and pencil. We murdered man who fights and are responsible for the death of Shy Dove.
You think we're stupid enough to sign that?
Dull Knife and his men can't be too far away. You want me to turn you over to them?
He's bluffing. He wouldn't do it.
Dull Knife and skin him alive. Piece by piece.
No, that's Apache stuff. The Cheyenne mutilate a bad men, and they roast them over a slow fire. How long does a man suffer?
Sun up, sundown. I see many bad Indians live longer.
You still don't want to sign it, huh?
No.
All right, you take him to Dull Knife. Tell him for me these are the men he wants.
No, we'll sign. But you got to promise you'll take us to the fort.
I give my word. We'll tie him double on the good horse. I want you and Mr. Brother to come with us. You were scouts in the Army. It'll help us to have a witness to the confession.
Look, Wyatt. Cheyenne.
Don't move.
Dull Knife and his men, all around us.
We could stand them off if there ain't too many.
No. Hold this.
You aim to surrender?
You promised that...
I want to talk to Dull Knife. Does he speak English?
More better than me.
Good. Come along and introduce us. You keep an eye on them.
They won't move. They got no place to go.
Where did Dull Knife learn English?
Mission school. He go as little boy.
Are you a convert?
No, all Cheyenne. Dehome. I am cousin to many battles. This is Mr. Erb, Law Marshal of Dodge City.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have the men who killed your people.
Man who fights, shied of.
The law will punish these murderers.
White men's law will punish white men.
Yes. I will take them to the fort.
No. Give them to me.
Great Chief Dull Knife, ruler of the Cheyenne. Mr. Brother, Mr. Cousin, can tell you that I have always kept my word to them. I will keep my word to you, O Great Chief. The men who committed this crime will be tried by a federal judge. And if found guilty, they will be hanged according to law.
I have traveled many miles to punish these men. I do not trust white men's court.
Some white men don't respect our laws either. In a few cases, it hasn't deserved respect. But there are hundreds of men trying to make our laws honest. It would be foolish for me to lie about it. We've had two kinds of law. One for white men and another for Indians. I'm asking you for a chance to prove that the murder of an Indian will be punished the same as the murder of a white man.
You expect me to believe this talk?
Yes, for your own good.
How is that?
You have asked our great white chief in Washington to let your people leave Oklahoma Territory and go back to Wyoming, true? What will our chief in Washington think when he hears that you have left your reservation for personal vengeance and taken the law into your own hands?
I will ask you a question. The two men who killed Shy Dove and her husband must die. Will you leave hostages to guarantee it? One of the two must be the other white policeman. You make cheap talk.
I will ask my friends. If they consent, they will place themselves in your hands. If they don't, we will fight it out.
Good. Johnny.
My guess is that Dull Knife's only got about 20 men. We stand a good chance of driving them off, especially if we can kill Dull Knife in the first attack. That's about it.
What's the sense in killing Dull Knife and maybe some of us getting it? Come on, Mr. Brother.
No, I go. He stay.
Masi copy. No need. Go.
No, Mr. Brother. I need Mr. Cousin as a witness. You go. You must make Dull Knife understand that a couple of his men must bring the bodies of Shy Dove and Man Who Fights to the fort.
Dull Knife understand. He's big judge.
Well, what am I going to say to Dull Knife if the white man judge turns them loose?
He won't. But I'm still willing to stay here and fight it out.
No, what would that prove? I risk getting killed in a gunfight with a no-account girl. This will prove something. Be seeing you, Marshal.
Don't I know you?
Oh, Judge Norton. Me, Little Wolf.
Yeah, that's right. You helped us in a gun smuggling case. These are bodies of Man Who Fights and his wife?
Me ho.
Things can't be going too well at the fort.
Mercy, Calpe.
Come here.
Uh-oh. Here I go again. Yes, sir?
Our dead were shown to the white men. They are being sent back to us for burial. Your judge and your friend Marshal Earp did nothing. The killers have not yet been hanged.
12 men. A jury have to decide. That takes a little time.
Too much time. We must move by dark tonight. We cannot take you and Mr. Brother with us.
There's nothing I can do.
No. It will be done for you. Honey.
You have been found guilty of murder in the first degree. You attempted to defend yourselves by saying the 2 young people you killed were Indians. Such a defense is an insult to this court and to the laws of this republic. Murder of any human being is punishable by death. Marshal Earp?
Yes, sir.
You will deliver these 2 men into the custody of the Provost Marshal. I'll send a written order for their immediate execution by hanging. Court's adjourned.
Come on.
I have conquered my evil temper. There has been too much killing by Indians and white men. My heart is sick. We are all children of Great White Spirit. We behave like grizzly bear and Apache. I have been thinking of your friend, Marshal Earp. I do not believe he lied to me. I think he has done his best for justice. I am sure there must be many white men with good hearts like his. Therefore, I am setting you free. Go. Silence!
Thank you.
You tie not to its gun. Tejo me.
Great Chief, these are the bodies of the 2 men. They were hanged according to law.
Look. The copy.
Great Chief, we are taking them to Dodge for burial. Any objection?
No. It is justice. Tejo me.
Tejo me. You have understanding.
Well, little man, what do you say now?
Two men, hanged for the murder of man who fights in Shida.
Carried a gun or used one, and then only in some act of desperation. The circumstances which turned Mrs. Jane McGill into a shooting woman were unusual, and she became one of the most serious problems Marshal Earp ever tried to handle.
Gate's locked. Let's cut the wire.
Here, take this axe.
Get away from that fence!
Now, take it easy, Ma. We got cattle on the drive, need water. You've locked the gate.
I promised feed and water for Mr. Hap Dorset. He'll be driving his own cattle in soon. I gave him my word.
First come, first serve.
You ain't cutting my fence. Now back off now.
Boy, you old bat.
No. Shooting a woman? Tob'll have wired up, throw her in jail.
All right, let's go.
Hush up, folks. Come here, girl. Come on. Trouble's over for right now.
Mama, you shot at them.
Yeah, over their heads.
Oh, how could you? I promised Marshal Earp that the next time we had any trouble, we'd send for him. What if they tell Mr. Earp? I could have driven into town.
By then, they'd have busted down the fence. And speaking of promises, I gave Hap Dorset my word.
Oh, him.
You like the boy, don't you?
I've said it 50 times. I'm not marrying to live on a ranch. I've seen all the cows and cowhands I can take.
You think you'd rather have Bat Masterson?
No, we're just friends. Bat has lots of girls, town girls.
And a roving eye.
You seem to forget that I'm quite grown up. In fact, tomorrow I'll be 21.
21? Well, that's right, Effie. You'll be of legal and voting age if they let a woman vote. Well, it all kind of comes to a head, your birthday and Hap riding in.
Now, Mama, I haven't promised Hap anything. So happens that Bat's gonna take me.
Well, I better hitch up that rig and get into town before the stores close and the bank.
Bank? Our credit's run out at the stores and we haven't a dime in the bank.
Tomorrow's the day, honey. You'll be 21. And I made a promise on it.
Mr. Masterson, come on out here. I want to talk to you.
Now, what's up?
Mrs. McGill again. Took a couple of shots at some of Tobe Lawson's cowhands. They talked him out of filing a complaint.
Well, thanks.
I want you to ride out there and give her a good talking to, though. Part of her farm's on the city limits now, and she's got to quit shooting at people every time she has an argument.
Or couldn't you go out there this time, Wyatt? She doesn't think too
Look,
much of...
I didn't pick Effie McGill for your girl. You just read this to her mother.
Yes, sir, but why don't...
Anyway, you got no reason to be wasting Effie's time. Or do you intend to marry her?
Marry her? Well, I haven't more than kissed her a couple times.
Well, that's enough to give a nice country girl ideas.
Gosh.
Well, Mrs. McGill's caused me a heap of trouble, but I kind of like her. She's over 50, and I'm just 30, but we're both old-timers in the West.
Huh?
Well, I guess that seems kind of odd to you, but you're not an old-timer unless you haul to California by wagon train. Didn't Effie tell you that she and her folks...
Wyatt, they want you down at the bank right away.
Hold up.
No. Something about Mrs. McGill.
Oh, well, Deputy Masterson can go.
Well, they asked for you, Wyatt. The cashier said that...
All right. You know, maybe you should get married.
This is unusual, madam. It's been 10 years since we've been asked to cash gold nuggets. You're not a depositor here, and you don't seem willing to explain how you came by these.
Well, I didn't steal them.
No one's accused you of that, Mrs. McGill. It's just that banks have to be careful. At $20 an ounce, you have almost $300 here. Oh, Marshal Earp, thank you for coming so promptly. We have a matter.
Howdy, Mrs. McGill.
Howdy, Marshal. He thinks I stole them.
Gold nuggets, Mr. Earp.
Well, Mrs. McGill and her family were 49ers. Didn't you tell Mr. Perkins that?
I don't like to talk about it.
Well, you're perfectly safe in cashing them, Mr. Perkins.
Well, if she'd only explained. One moment now. Have the cash for you, Mrs. McGill.
I'll be outside. I'd like to talk to you.
100, 200, and 300.
Thank you kindly. All that bother over a few piddling nuggets.
Well, that's going to start a lot of talk.
Ain't none of these town folks ever seen gold before?
Well, gold coins, but not any dust or nuggets. Oh, by the way, Tobe Lawson said that you took a couple of shots at some of his boys.
One shot. I aimed high. I told them I promised to save water and feed for Hap Dorset, but they started to tear down my fence.
Well, Mrs. McGill, I think that if you...
But didn't you tell me you hauled to California when you was 16?
Yes, I'm on a wagon train.
Yeah, well, us wagon trainers always took our own part.
Well, we had to then. You know, I can remember when my dad named me as the hunter, the whole party. I just about wore myself to a frazzle, stalking after all those buffalo and antelope. One day I put on a big rebellion. Yes, sir. I told my old man they just have to eat wild turkey and prairie chicken and quail. Those people got so sick of eating it, they started calling me Cluck Cluck. And that shamed me back into hunting buffalo again.
Yeah, and if you'd have found one of those bullwhackers that trying to steal meat, wouldn't you have taken a shot at him?
Well, in those times, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, but you see, the law today says that people can't go around shooting other people just for trespassing unless you know for sure they aim to commit a felony. See, Mrs. McGill, times just aren't the same anymore. And I'm sure that Mr. Lawson would have been willing to pay for the food and the water and for the busted fence. Look, if anything like this happens again, you just have Effie come in to see me, huh?
All right. Depending there's time. But there ain't always been time, Mr. Earp. Long before you came to Dodge, I had to stand off hoodlums with a gun.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, well, Effie will be hitting her 21st birthday tomorrow, and I aim to see Hap Dorset driving in with his first herd of steers. Well, like I told Effie, it's all coming to a head, and my work's almost finished.
Is the mother's job ever finished?
Handling the gold will be.
The gold? You got more of it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now, you better bring it in here and put it in that bank.
It's safe, Mr. Earp. But I do thank you kindly.
Oh, scandal travels without a wire, swift and hot as a prairie fire, gossiping, gossiping, gossiping all over town. The busybody's tongue is mightier than the sword, swift and eager to spread the word, gossiping, gossiping, gossiping all over town.
Maybe it's just a lot of talk, Si.
Yeah. Maybe it ain't.
We better wait for the boss.
Why cut the whole outfit in on it? Just the old woman and her kid to handle. Ain't we men enough to do that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, they're beautiful. Just scrumptious, Mama. Did you, buy them on credit?
No.
But what with, then?
Never mind, they're paid for. Now, you try your dresses on. I gotta fix that fence.
Marshal Earp was here.
What do you want?
He thinks you've got some gold hidden on the place. And if that's true, he thinks you should put it in the bank.
I'm waiting for Hap Dorset.
Hap? What's he got to do with your money?
More than Wyatt Earp or Bat Masterson have.
Now, Mama, you wouldn't be so foolish as to try to bribe Hap into marrying me. I told you, I'm not going to marry a cattleman. We've had nothing all these years but 50 scraggy acres and this tumble-down old house. Smelly cowhands and bawling steers and drunken hoodlums you had to threaten with a gun.
It's been hard for you. I know that.
And worse for you. Why did you hide the gold? Why didn't you sell this place and move us into town?
The gold has blood on it.
Oh, you mean that Papa and John...
Wasn't their fault. I was the one who wanted to travel west. And then when we'd made our pile and started back, I got a fence that needs mending.
Tell me the rest of it. I want to understand.
When the posse had saved you and me, and when I was well enough, I went back to that ambush. I couldn't even find the graves. The buffalo had stomped the earth flat, killed the grass and the prairie flowers. What do you buy with blood? Pretties like them things? A house in Dodge City on a 2x4 lot? Your Papa and John, they didn't like the mines. They wanted to homestead land in California. Gold, that was my doing. What have you been guarding all these years? The dirt, the water in the well, the pond, the trees, the sky? And a fool of an old woman. And a girl who won't learn from her mama's foolishness.
Howdy, Miss McGill.
Hap Dorset.
I I'm a little late getting here.
Well, it's about time. Where are your cattle?
Oh, down the trail a piece. Well, how's it been going, Ma? And how's Effie?
We're all right, but the drought got you, didn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm only bringing in about 100 head.
Oh, well, that's better than I expected.
No, Ma.
Oh, some small outfits ain't driving at all this season. You can rest them here and put some weight back on them. I've been holding it for you, Hap.
Well, I knew you'd keep your part of the bargain. But me, well, I can't even pay until I sell the steers.
Hap, don't worry about the pay, but kind of keep the bad news from Effie, huh?
No use, Ma. She can count cattle.
Oh, you can brag you shipped from Wichita or that you sold most of them to a trail buyer now, can't you?
No, ma'am. I never did have any luck lying to women. She'd find me out as quick as you did.
Take a look yonder.
Your mother's got Wyatt awful worried this time. He didn't order me to come out here. He asked me as a personal favor. Wyatt doesn't ask personal favors just for nothing, Effie.
You tell Mr. Earp that it is true what we were talking about, but I can't do a thing with Mama.
You ain't going to get any place with Effie eating humble pie. I tried that. Failures young girls nowadays don't tolerate them.
Well, I'm all kinds of a fool, and the drought starved me out, so what chance would I have asking her to marry me?
Don't that horse of yours want some water?
He sure does. Water, Patches. Water.
Sure is thirsty.
I better do a patch-up job for you there.
Nope. Hold me up that milk can. I'm going to change my bank.
That ain't real gold.
Yes, sir.
Well, thunderation, Ma, you shouldn't keep it there.
Is that all that interests you?
You should put it in a Wells Fargo bank or someplace.
Hap, I want to lend you some of that right now.
Oh, no.
Look, you can buy some more cattle, build a ranch house. It would all belong to you and Effie. I don't want none of it.
Thanks, Ma. Thanks just the same.
Hap, I know it looks like I'm trying to buy you for Effie, but that ain't the main point.
Well, there sure must be another point. You know I'd marry F tomorrow, and I wouldn't charge you a nickel.
Look at Hap, listen. Wait a minute. Well, ain't you going to say howdy to an old friend?
My goodness, it is you, Hap Dorset.
Yes, ma'am.
The sun was in my eyes and I couldn't make you out. Why, you look plumb tuckered, Hap. Aren't we going to invite him to supper, Ma?
He's invited.
Well, thanks, but I can't stay.
Why not?
Well, my cattle, Effie, I left them resting up the trail.
But you have cowhands to look after them.
One cowhand. We'll be driving in about midnight if you'll just give me a key to the gate, Ma.
I've got an extra one here.
Thanks. Maybe you'll invite me to breakfast.
Why, of course.
You sure get prettier every time I see you. And, Ma, you changed banks again. Well, bye.
One cowhand. Must have made a big success.
He tried.
Poor Hap.
Don't say that about him. He's been fighting the drought and his range dried up, and there wasn't nothing he could do about it except keep his courage.
All right, Mother. All right. I promised Bat I'd meet him in town. Can I use the rig?
No.
Very well. I can walk.
Oh, forget what I said. You can use the rig. It's already hitched up.
Thanks, Ma.
Well, the girl's out of the way.
What are we going to do about the old lady?
Scaring and talking.
The dog, he might raise a rumpus.
No, he won't. Come on, let's get at it.
brutes.
You reckon she's still in the house?
I don't know. Seems kind of strange. Woman sees her own dog shot. Don't come running out or nothing.
Probably scared to death. Maybe she ain't here.
Let's look around.
The other one's in the parlor, dead. They killed my dog.
Here, let me do that.
You gonna arrest me?
Yep. Those men were Hogan and Lacey. They run with the Billings gang. I've got to keep you in protective custody.
For how long? Hap will be driving his cattle in at midnight.
Billings and his crowd will be here before that, maybe. They're bound to have heard what happened.
I've caused you enough trouble.
You sure have.
Well, why worry with protecting me? If the rest of the outlaws come, let them ransack the place and take what they can find.
That isn't the law, Mrs. McGill. You've been wrong, but the law still has to protect you.
It's in the milk can in the well.
That's your mama's business, not mine.
What?
I'm not thinking about her and her money.
Oh, or me either.
She wouldn't turn in that gold when Wyatt told her to. Then she up and shoots two of Bud Billings' hoodlums. When the rest of them come, we may have a big gunfight on our hands. And all because your dear mama never heard of banks to keep money in.
Well, I thought you'd be willing to make allowances.
Not when folks get Wyatt into a lot of needless trouble.
Wyatt, always Wyatt. So he comes first?
Well, that's my job.
And the important thing is that, well, even though you started for the gold first, you always had the land in your head.
Yeah.
You know, I guess us wagon trainers are all alike. I've always wanted to have a cattle spread of my own.
Wyatt, big cloud of dust on the road out of town. Looks like Billings is on his way.
All right. Mrs. McGill, you and Effie go in the house. Stay strictly out of this. Get those horses in the corral.
Those my men, Hogan and Lacey?
That's right.
Told me back in town some crazy woman bushwhacked them.
You heard wrong, Mr. Billings. They shot her dog and then broke into her house.
That don't sound likely, Earp.
Well, that's what happened. You climb down off that horse and I'll show you where Lacey died in the parlor. I'll show you where the dog's buried, too, if you like.
Why would they do it? Broken down old place like this.
Well, Mr. Billings, they thought there was a lot of gold buried here. Didn't they send you word?
No.
Well, I guess they decided to take it on their own. Well, I've told you the truth. I've said all I'm going to say.
I heard you call a lot of names, Earp. Liar ain't one of them. Reckon Hogan and Lacey got what they deserved.
We'll let the court decide that later.
See ya.
Yeah.
I see now. That's the way the new law works. At least when Mr. Earp's around.
What?
Yeah?
Effie says that gold is in a milk can down the well.
You go haul this stuff up. I'll go ask Mrs. McGill if I can't take it on over to the bank.
Yes, sir.
Here. Mrs. McGill, I'd like your permission to take and put that gold in the bank. Mr. Masterson says he knows where it is.
All right. Might as well take these along.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too. Excuse me for a minute. Miss Effie, Mr. Masterson is one of my best friends, but I can't say that he's good material for a husband yet.
No, he isn't.
I talked kind of mean to your mother, asking you not to add anything to it. It's a tough job getting blood off gold, and what she did all these years, she did for you.
I know that now.
You know, as an old wagon trainer myself, I'd just like to say that Mrs. McGill could captain a wagon train for me anytime, anyplace.
Well, I guess it's North Texas, Mr. Earp.
Saddle up. Take those with you. You know, Effie and Hap are going to need you.
Effie, did she say... You sure?
North Texas, that's what she said. But they're never going to make it without you.
Oh, go on now.
No, I mean it. North Texas is big country. It's a lot more your size than this little farm. When the northern winds start screaming and your grandchildren, they come down with the croup. You be there, Mrs. McGill.
I thank you kindly, old-timer.
Custer's bitter critics were a handful of civilians who worked for the Indian Bureau. The hoodlum element had an old score to settle with the Army, for it was the Army which tried to stop them from cheating their Indian wards.
Business as usual, Mr. Tom. Maybe this hick cowtown ain't even heard about the licking Custer took.
Newspapers have been making excuses. Now, you fellas circulate around. Let's get the truth told our way.
Yes, sir. Come on, you men. Let's start with this Long Branch saloon.
Gus, I'm sick and tired of hearing all this gossip about what happened to Custer in Montana. You men weren't there and you don't know what happened. Now, the next time there's any rawhide in the soldiers, I'm going to close every place below the line. You understand that? I'll pass the word.
Shall I take these brave warriors in for packing guns?
No. Because I think they're real anxious to go after Sitting Bull.
Now, your name is Johnson. You're a cheap peddler. You work for an Indian agent by the name of Tom Elridge. Is he in town?
At the Dodge Hotel. And you better not be showing...
Elledge is a swindler and a thief. I don't want him spreading lies about brave men. You tell him I said so.
You're messing in something too big for a cowtown marshal. Mr. Tom make you pull in your horns.
What's behind all this?
Well, there are a lot of Indian agents that don't like the Army. Captain Benteen chased Elledge out of 2 jobs for swindling the Indians. Tried to get him fired.
So Elledge wants to get even with the captain, huh?
Hmm?
How do you think he's going to do that?
Well, maybe Elledge will tell me. You take that on back to the office and ask the other deputies to start a patrol. Captain Benteen has been a good friend of ours.
Why don't we run Elledge out of town?
No, not yet. Johnson's too cocky. I'll go have a little session with Mr. Elledge.
And with the public sore at the Army over the Custer massacre, now's the time to hit hard. I've already got 6 survivors from Major Reno's command ready to testify. They're being held outside of town and under guard. There'll be 2 Indians, a Mr. Cousin and a Mr. Brother, coming into town.
What makes you think 2 Indians will come into town at a time like this?
Because I sent them a message, supposedly from their good friend Wyatt Earp. I watched the North Trace, and remember, I want them alive. You get double that when you bring them in. Who is it?
Marshal Earp.
Oh, just a moment. Oh, come in, Marshal.
Mr. Elledge?
That's right.
I just disarmed some of your men. They were picking a fight with a couple of soldiers. Now, maybe you can tell me why.
It's only natural, isn't it?
Why?
Sit down. We resent Custer's failure. It'll make the work of the Indian Bureau twice as hard. We warned the Army.
And the Army warned you. Captain Benteen told me before the 7th moved to Fort Lincoln that he was going to file criminal charges against you for what you did to the Indians.
He said that? By the time the Court of Inquiry gets through with Benteen, I don't think he'll be in any position to make trouble for me.
I get it now. You're short in this town, Mr. Elledge. Now you get a hold of your men and move out, you understand?
So, that's the way you help a friend in serious trouble.
Captain Benteen?
My men have picked up deserters from Major Reno's command, and they're ready to charge Benteen and Reno with disobeying orders, stupidity, cowardice. I can break your friend. Get him kicked out of the Army.
Well, I wouldn't want to see my friend get kicked out of the Army. I usually don't make deals, Mr. Elledge. You've probably heard that.
But in case somebody else holds the trump card, you might, eh?
What's your deal?
My men are looking for 2 Cheyenne, a Mr. Cousin and a Mr. Brother.
Yeah, I know them.
They weren't in the fight, but they know Two Moon and Brave Bear.
So?
It's important to have testimony from the Indian side. Now, we can pick up Cousin and Brother, but getting them to talk is something else again. Can you help us?
I might if it would help Captain Benteen.
He's small fry. We're after Sherman and Sheridan. We're going to prove to Congress that the Army must manage the whole campaign. Now, you help us do that, and it'll change things for Benteen.
All right. When you bring in Mr. Cousin and Mr. Brother, I'll talk to them. But your men should be real gentle.
Oh, I don't antagonize witnesses, Mr. Earp.
You be sure of that. Because for every mark on them, I'm going to put 2 marks on you.
I just sent the patrol, Wyatt. Did you talk to Elledge?
Yeah, just now. He thinks I'm on his side. That's the way we've got to play it. You go find Johnson. I want to talk to him.
Johnson?
That's right away. Don't let him see you. Just come tell me where he is. I'll be over in the office.
Thank you, sir. I'll win again.
Mr. Johnson, I'd like to have a little talk with you. Alone. I just had a nice little talk with your boss. You know, I was wrong about him. I don't like you. I think you know that. But as an officer of the law, I do an awful lot of business with people I don't like. I find that Mr. Elledge is on a special assignment. Just so happens I agree with his views. He told me about the soldiers, about the witnesses.
You mean the men
That's
from...
right. Major Reno's battalion. He told me that you knew where to find him, that I should ask you.
That means we're all working together?
That's right.
Good.
I'll send Mr. Masterson over. You can give him the information.
Marshal Earp, I'm Mrs. Benteen.
Well, howdy, man. Howdy, Captain. I used to know the captain.
He's angry because I made him come to see you. Where can we talk?
Take the side street to the back door of the jail. I'll join you there.
Get up. And everyone knows that Fred was the hero of that fight. He saved Major Reno from being wiped out. But just because he technically disobeyed an order, he wants to sulk in his tent and let them court-martial him. Do you think that's sensible on his part?
No, ma'am.
I did disobey the order. I've got to tell him so.
But you saved Reno. You couldn't have saved General Custer, even if you tried to join him.
The court will blame me.
Oh, but...
Excuse me, ma'am. I've read the papers, and they tell it that Custer attacked 5,000 Indians with only 600 men. Isn't that the main reason you got beaten, Captain?
Well, yes.
They were all too brave. But the public doesn't think about that. They want some officers to punish.
Reno and me.
Not you. The only one that's after you is that crook Tom Elledge. He's with the Indian Bureau. Fred caught him selling supplies that had been bought for the Cheyennes and tried to get him fired.
Now, really...
Wait. Let me tell Mr. Earp the rest of it. Elledge is supposed to be right here in Dodge City.
Yes, he is here. I'm glad you both came.
You see, I knew Mr. Earp could help us.
I don't see how.
Well, the captain's tired, ma'am. He isn't thinking straight. That was a real good fight you put up on Reno Hill, sir.
I should have let Reno save himself and gone down the valley to help Custer.
All right, sir. All right. Mrs. Benteen, I'll take you on over to the Kansas Hotel, but I think you ought to register under a different name. I'm going to ask the captain to stay here in my office for a few hours. Elledge is busy collecting eyewitnesses, and I'll be busy recollecting them. I consider it a personal favor if you'd stay here.
All right. Go ahead. You and the missus. I guess I saw too many Indians.
Try and knock him off the horse. Aim carefully. Don't kill him.
You're not going to turn them loose so they can ride in a Dodge, are you?
I need doctoring.
Well, they'll squawk to Elledge.
I can't help that. We'll get the soldiers before Elledge can take a hand. Now, get on your horses. Come on.
All right, now get out of here.
How come you started down this way, Mr. Cousin?
Indian agent says you want to make talk with us.
Yeah, well, I do, but first we got to pick up some soldiers. Got any objection to helping the 7th Cavalry?
Yeah, Long Night, 7th Cavalry.
No.
We help. They are brave men.
Good.
Better get started. We still got 10 miles of that camp.
Yeah. Go get the rest of the horses.
Quiet. It's a campfire. We're getting pretty close.
All right, let's take them all on foot. Tie up the horses over there. Elledge said he was holding 6 soldiers. He can't have more than half a dozen guards out here. I'll go in from 4 sides. Take the guards, but don't shoot unless you have to. All right, let's go.
Hold it! Who are you?
Don't shoot him, Mr. Masterson! Drop those guns!
One. All right, tie him up. Take their sidearms. Go pick up that man I wounded by the tree. Bring him in. All the other guards accounted for?
Yeah, we each got 1.
Good. They won't be standing guard over any other camp. All right, walk these men over there and sit them down.
Nay, nay.
I'm Wyatt Earp, United States Marshal.
That's so.
You Sergeant Malloy, D Troop, Major Reno's battalion?
I'm John Smith. He's Joe Smith. We're all named Smith.
You're a bunch of stragglers. You could be charged with desertion. But that's going to be up to Captain Benteen.
Captain Benteen of H Troop? He's dead.
No, he isn't.
You sure?
Yep.
Why, that bullet-eating old buzzard. Benteen made it. Last time we saw him, he was on the hill yelling orders at Major Reno.
Where were you men?
We wasn't running, mister. About 1,000 Sioux had us pinned down in the bushes by the river. Show him what they gave us to fight with.
Watch it.
It's not loaded. An old Springfield with a cartridge extractor is busted. You got a good Winchester. 500 of them, and it might have been different.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it might have been. But I haven't got time to refight the battle with you, Sergeant. I just want to know why you made a deal with a crook like Elledge.
And we knew it was the worst messed up battle any soldiers ever had to try and live through. So when Crazy Horse and about 5,000 Indians made their march past the hill, what was the use of staying? We were whipped to a frazzle.
So you retreated south, huh?
I'm tired of lying, mister. We run south. The fight was over, and none of us knew what to do about it.
And how did Elledge find you?
You won't believe this, but we just run onto him on the trail in Nebraska. He was out hunting for troopers like us.
So he offered you money and political influence so you wouldn't be charged with desertion, huh? What were you supposed to do in return?
Well...
You better tell me, Sergeant.
Well, we were supposed to swear an oath, blaming it all on the officers.
Especially Captain Benteen?
Oh, yes, sir.
And how do you feel about that now, Sergeant?
Like a skunk. Captain Benteen was the best officer on the field.
He's probably got the soldiers, too. That drunken fool Johnson. Have the rest of my traders come in yet?
About 20 of them, Mr. Tom.
Stay here. I'll round them up myself.
And Elledge is waiting for the Indian Bureau Commissioner. But I've got all the witnesses he was going to use against you. Well, technically, Sergeant Malloy and his men are deserters, but the truth is that Elledge was holding them against their will and was trying to bribe them into lying about you. Well, it's up to you now, Captain.
Well, Fred,
Yes, my dear?
all you have to do is take those men to Fort Dodge. They'll tell the truth. Well, don't you see?
Reno's men. I can imagine what they'll say.
Oh, Mr. Earp, you're his friend. A wonderful friend. Can't you?
Excuse me. Sergeant Malloy, come on in here, will you, please?
Sergeant Malloy, D Troop, sir. I'm glad to see you alive, Captain. If it hadn't been for you, the rest of the boys and me wouldn't have made it.
I disobeyed an order, Sergeant.
Well, who didn't, sir? With 5,000 Sioux and Cheyenne overrunning us? What was an order?
Mr. Cousin? Captain Benteen, this is my friend, Mr. Cousin. He talked to several chiefs after the fight. Mr. Cousin, did Two Moon or Brave Bear think there was any way of reinforcing General Custer?
No. The Sioux would have killed all soldiers crossing Valley. Gall and Rain and Face had General Custer surrounded.
He's right, Captain.
The white soldier, brave and proud. Indian proud also. But in war, no chief take blame for defeat. All Indian people take blame.
We're all to blame, Captain.
Yes, all of us. Cheap politicians scattering the army in dozens of little forts. Bad food, poor guns.
Now. Sergeant Malloy.
Yes, sir.
You and your men have reported to me at the earliest possible date.
Thank you very much, sir.
We will ride to Fort Dodge. I've already filed my report, but you and your men will be asked to make written statements. If you're required to mention me, I shall expect you to refer to me as a bad-tempered old buzzard. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
You checking the arsenal, Wyatt?
You're forgetting Mr. Elledge. He can't afford to let Malloy get to the fort.
You think he'd try to stop us?
Well, one of my deputies says he left Dodge with a bunch of white traitors, and you know what that means.
Not more fighting.
Well, this may be the last battle, man. You know, I think one of the main reasons we take such a licking is that we spend too much time fighting among ourselves.
Elledge and his men in there.
I think they see you. Expect you to go after him.
Well, Captain, what do you think?
Well, I can't take soldiers into a fight with civilians. But if a fight starts, we can always ride to the rescue.
All right, we'll start it, and you can rescue us.
When the shooting starts, we'll come in from the right and the left.
Fine.
What about Benteen and the soldiers?
They'll all come in, Mr. Tom. And they'll all get what Custer got.
Can't hold out here. You sure the captain's men ain't gun shy?
I don't know.
Shall we shoot?
No, wait.
Now?
Now.
Fire!
Stop running and keep firing!
These good old
Winchesters.
That's what Elledge, ain't it?
Halt! Surrender! Drop your weapons! Bring him down here, men! Come on. Sergeant Malloy.
Yes, sir.
Didn't I see you and Mike shooting at two horsemen on the ridge?
Yes, sir.
Where are they now?
They're casualties, sir. Man by the name of Elledge and a pal of his.
Wounded?
Dead, sir.
Well, I wonder how the government will take the news. Well, bring in the bodies.
We'll take care of that, Captain. Mr. Masterson and I killed Elledge in line of duty.
I fired the fatal shot, sir.
Thank you. Prepare to mount. Tell Mrs. Benteen that we'll probably be put under arrest at the fort.
I don't think so, Captain. If anybody comes out of that court of inquiry with honor, you'll be the man.
You deserve a better friend, Wyatt. Troop forward! March!
Death on the Little Bighorn. That same year saw the close of a long and bloody campaign that drove the Plains Indian from the Dakotas, from his last hunting ground and his way of life. Battle-weary troops were moved east and south to regroup and recover. Among them were men whose memories were scarred by too much cruelty and killing. For these men, violence became their way of life.
Private Crenshaw? Sergeant Craig, sir. Yeah. I wanted tobacco. Give me some tobacco.
Darned if I ain't fresh out myself.
Aha. General store and emporium. Follow me, Private Crenshaw, and we will go a fortitude. Fly on the merry-go, a fortune we will go. No.
Today we have a sale on blankets, but you perhaps know more about these than I do. Oh, I'll be with you in a minute, gentlemen.
I'm Sergeant Craig, mister. Old Indian fighter from way back. Only time you ever find Sergeant Craig waiting on an Indian is when he's got a rifle in his hands. Now, give me some chewing tobacco.
All I have is Union Twist.
So, what's the difference? It's chewing tobacco, ain't it? Hey, Private Crenshaw?
If Union Twist is good enough for the Union, it's good enough for a couple Union soldiers. Right, Sarge?
Hooray! Well, pay the man, Private Crenshaw.
Sergeant, I ain't a chawing man.
Hey,
Yes. All present and paid for it, Sergeant Craig, sir.
Right.
Come on, Sergeant.
Directly. Here's me. He's a pretty good-looking squaw. For a squaw, pretty enough almost to kiss, ain't she?
Please, Sergeant, let's not have any trouble.
No.
Come on, Sergeant. We got guard duty.
Leave us alone, soldier. We don't make trouble. That's right, Ensign. You don't make no trouble at all.
No. Come on, Sergeant. Let it go.
All right, a couple of you help the doc take him over to the coroner's office.
You know, it's times like this, Marshal, that makes me think maybe I should have stayed in Cincinnati.
Well, the important thing, Mr. Whittle, is will you make positive identification?
I certainly will, sir.
Good. Will you come down to the office and sign a statement?
Well, be glad to. It's high time something was done about that, Sergeant. He's done nothing ever since he's been here but give us one scare after another. I don't know why you haven't arrested him before this.
He's a soldier, Mr. Whittle. He and his company have spent better than 6 months in the Black Hills, fighting the greatest alliance of Indians in frontier history.
I know. I should think he'd have his fill of fighting.
Most of them have. Most of them are no trouble at all. Some are like Sergeant Craig. Well, something happens to them. They get crazy like. Oh, they've seen things that a man like you couldn't even dream of. It's kind of hard to explain.
It seems to me that you're trying to make excuses for a murderer, Marshal.
Not for a murderer, Mr. Whittle. But maybe I'm trying to make excuses for a professional soldier.
Coroner's making out the death certificate.
How's his squaw?
I sent for his relatives. She'll stay with him till I fetch him.
You're on duty tonight, aren't you?
Yeah.
Good. I want to ride out to the fort and pick up the sergeant.
On what charges?
Murder. What else?
What? You think we have a case? You know the accused is a soldier. I never heard of a soldier being charged with killing an Indian.
We got an eyewitness, Mr. Whittle. It says it was a plain case of murder. Anyway, it's not up to me to try the accused, but it is up to me to bring him in.
I don't know, Marshal. I hope that I'm doing the right thing.
I'm sure you are, Lieutenant. Civil law takes precedence in a civil crime. You have no problem.
You don't know Captain Brooke. I'm afraid he'll hold a different view.
Why should he? The law's the law, isn't it?
But, Marshal, this is an Indian. Indians aren't citizens. And the law isn't too clear on this point. And a man like Captain Brooke, well,
Look, Lieutenant, if you have any worries, forget it. I'll take full responsibility.
Come in.
You sent for me, sir?
Sergeant Craig, this is Marshal Earp of Dodge City. He has a warrant for your arrest, claims you killed an Indian.
Self-defense, Marshal. The redskin pulled a knife.
According to the owner of the store where it happened, the Indian was trying to get away when you shot him in the back.
Well, I've got a witness myself. Private Crenshaw was with me, Lieutenant. He'll have a different story.
You'll get a chance to tell it, Sergeant. You'll get a fair trial.
I'm to go on trial for gunning an Indian? What the U.S. government pays me to do?
There's a difference, soldier. This Indian happened to be a Cherokee, third generation civilized.
Cherokee, Comanche, Sioux, what's the difference? They're all the same.
I don't intend to try your case, Sergeant. Just put you under arrest. I'll give the lieutenant your handgun and let's go.
Give me the revolver, Craig.
Are you going to let him get away with this, Lieutenant?
I have no authority to prevent it. Now give me that revolver.
All right, sir. When the captain comes back, you better have a different story.
It'll be on the morning report.
I wouldn't wait that long if I was you, sir. It's going to be bad enough you let a civilian run it over one of his boys.
That'll be enough from you, Craig. Now get out of here.
Thank you, sir.
Who's in charge here?
I am, sir.
You, Wyatt Earp?
Yes, Captain?
I've come for Sergeant Craig. I'll ask you to be so kind as to release him into my custody.
You Captain Brooke?
That's right.
Well, didn't Lieutenant Meade explain to you about him?
Lieutenant Meade is fresh from the parade grounds of Washington, sir. He's got a great deal to learn about military practice on the frontier.
Such as?
Such as the Army's right to discipline its own men.
Well, Captain, if the sergeant had killed another soldier out in the territory someplace, you'd have claim to him, but he didn't. No, he killed a civilian right here in this town. That places him right in the hands of the local law.
Come, Mr. Earp, you can't be serious. Since when is it a crime to kill an Indian? In self-defense.
Well, I don't intend to debate the case with you, Captain. He's my prisoner by order of civil law. I'm going to keep him. Good day, sir.
Mm-hmm.
thought he was going to bust. I bet we haven't seen the last of him yet.
You've got a real safe bet there, mister. Time he gets back, he'll have a full head of steam, and then you'll really see him bust.
Hey, I don't see Whittle's statement here. Hasn't he brought it in yet?
No, not yet. When I stopped around this morning, he said he hadn't had time to get to it. He wants to get it right.
Meade! Lieutenant Meade!
Begging your pardon, sir, Lieutenant Meade is not here. He left this morning.
Where's he gone?
You didn't say, sir.
There was another soldier with Sergeant Craig last evening when he had that altercation with the Indian. Who was he?
I believe it was Private Crenshaw, sir.
Tell him I want to see him.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to be afraid of me, Crenshaw. Long as my men are loyal to me, I'm loyal to them. You understand, Trooper?
Yes, sir.
You ever hear the phrase esprit de corps?
Yes, sir.
Know what it means?
Well, I think so, sir.
It's what this company has, Crenshaw. We've fought together, been beaten together, and we've won together. That means something, doesn't it, son?
Yes, sir.
Have a drink.
No, thanks, sir.
Have a drink.
Yes, sir. I think I will.
Now then, Crenshaw. You say that this Indian pulled a knife and attacked the sergeant.
No, sir, he didn't pull the knife.
Don't hedge, soldier. It's my understanding that this Indian had a knife.
That he did, sir.
Well, then, am I correct in assuming that he was reaching for this knife when the sergeant, in order to protect himself, grappled?
Well, I guess... I'm sure that's the way it happened, sir. You see, I wasn't exactly watching at the time.
Now then, how many people were in the store at the time?
Besides the sergeant and me, I guess just the Indian and his squaw.
And the proprietor, of course.
Yes, sir.
Well, the squaw wouldn't count much in court. You wouldn't count much either, being an army man and somewhat prejudiced. So that bull-headed marshal has only one man on which to rest his case, hasn't he? That storekeeper.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. May I help you?
You may, sir. You most definitely may. It concerns the altercation which took place here yesterday between one of my men and an Indian.
Yes.
Other than Private Crenshaw here, I understand you are the only witness, discounting the squaw, of course.
That's quite true, Captain. As a matter of fact, I was just writing out a statement for the marshal. He asked me to set things down just as they happened.
I'm afraid the marshal is leading you down the garden path, Mr. Whittle, when he asks you to take a stand against the brave fighting men of your country. Particularly when these fighting men are engaged in mortal combat with a savage enemy. With those self-same Indians, sir, whom you so obviously wish to give aid and comfort to. I dare say, sir, you have no concept of the enormity of this incident.
Mr. Whittle bring in the statement yet?
No.
Sergeant's on trial docket for 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I know. Harris is prosecuting. He's going to stop by here later this afternoon for depositions.
Well, then Whittle better not wait to bring in that statement. He better come here in person. I better go tell him.
I've been giving this quite a bit of thought since last evening, Marshal, and
To be perfectly honest, I can't rightly say that it was entirely the sergeant's fault.
Look, the last time I talked to you, Mr. Whittle, you were yelling for that sergeant's blood. Now, who changed your mind?
Well, I was angry. Now I've had a chance to think things over and cool off. I just can't honestly...
Was Captain Brooke in here to see you?
All right, so he was here.
Did he threaten you?
Of course not. The captain happens to be a gentleman.
I'm not asking for a character reference to Captain Brooke. I'm just asking for a little character from you.
Now, I'm a tax-paying citizen, Marshal, and I'll ask you to watch your tone of voice.
Forget it. When this case blows up in court tomorrow, mister, I just hope you turn out to be a better judge of character than I've been.
Take position to guard this office.
No one passes.
I'm Marshal Earp.
Sorry, sir.
I don't care what your orders are, Deputy. I'm giving you just 3 seconds. Oh, good evening, Marshal. I've come for my prisoner.
You come to take him by force, Captain?
If necessary, yes.
Well, then I think you'd better first put the whole town under martial law.
You don't happen to have a legal leg to stand on.
Yeah, I know. I just saw Mr. Whittle.
Then be sensible. Give me the prisoner.
No.
Look here, Earp. You couldn't even get the sergeant convicted on manslaughter without a witness, and you know it.
My job is to take him to trial, and to trial he goes. Now, you get out of here. Hold it, Hal.
Crenshaw, get in here. Keep these two covered. You, Deputy, get in there and open that cell up. Let the prisoner out.
Go ahead, Al. Give him all the rope he wants.
Outside, Sergeant. Hurry.
Just let me get my gun, Captain, sir.
Hurry, Sergeant. Use my horse.
Take that gun and get out of here. You're wrecking my store.
Sit up back there.
Fire, you idiots! Don't just stand there. Shoot him down. Fire, I said! Shoot him, you cowards! Shoot him!
I've done my best to avoid bloodshed. But if that's what you want, let's have it now.
I ordered you to fire! I order you to shoot this man. I'll make you wish you were never born.
I got him, Sergeant! I got him! Marshal! Hey, Marshal, come on! I got him! Come in, Marshal, hurry up!
Kick that gun over here.
Hey, Marshal, if you'll give me one more chance to reconsider, I'll be glad to testify against this ruffian.
Thank you, Mr. Whittle.
I'll remember you for this, mister.
You sure will, Sergeant. You sure will.
Come on, move out.
Whatever happened to you, Captain?
Take the prisoner inside.
You can put up that gun, Mr. Earp. There'll be no more trouble. The Colonel's apologies and mine. Captain hasn't been himself for some time now, so I took the liberty of sending for aid last week. The Colonel arrived as soon as he could. Mr. Earp, Colonel Grayson.
Marshal?
How do you do, sir?
Stay with Captain Brooke, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
I don't ask you to understand, Mr. Earp, but I want you to know the Army will pay for all damages and make any necessary restitution.
Thank you, sir. And what about the prisoner?
The sergeant falls entirely under civil jurisdiction, of course. Lieutenant Meade explained everything to me. I only wish I could explain Captain Brooke's case to you as easily. All I can say is he's been in the Indian fights too long and he's not himself. He'll be sent east and his case reviewed.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, sir, the incident never happened.
Well, thank you, sir.
Troop, hurry him out. Mount! Forward rank out of two, yeah!
What a day. You think it was worth it?
Hell, any time the sun sets on law and order, it's worth it.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail. Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave.
On the western frontier of 1875, a tragic phase of lawlessness was the range war. A range war started when two owners of large cattle outfits had a personal dispute. Then it spread to cowhand retainers of the cattle barons, with professional gunfighters hired by both sides, making the war hot and deadly. Thus, when the Wades and the Fentresses invaded Wichita, Marshal Earp had no choice. He must break up the fight or the city streets would become their battleground, and every Wichita citizen might suffer the fate of the innocent bystander.
Hold it! Break it up! Break it up! What's the matter with you fellas anyway? You know better than that. Get your gun! Come on! Come out of there! Come on! Back up there! Back up! Come on! Get back! Come on, please. Come here. Can't do that to a Wade man. What's it fight? Stop it! Stop it! It's what you wait a minute! Stop it! Wait a minute! Stop it or I'll get a gun and I'll shoot every one of you! Break it up! Break it up! Break it up! Come on. Stay out of this! I said break it up! Break it up!
Shall I take them all to jail? Any of them drunk? Well, they don't seem to be.
I want him and him and him arrested. Arrest all 6 of them. They're Wades from the Bar W. They jumped 3 of our men, and it just wasn't...
Hold it! Any of them are hurt, take them to Doc Fabrique. Turn the rest of them loose.
Marshal Epp, are you on the Fentress' side or on the Wades?
Who are you and where do you live?
I'm Mary Ellen Fentress. I'm staying here in town at the Wichita Hotel.
You better get inside and cool off. Let me have this. Come on. Now, you sit down and cool off.
And I suppose you'd like to know what makes me tick.
You must be Colonel Fentress's granddaughter. Lazy H outfit, hmm?
Yes, I am. And there's going to be one real sure enough fight when my grandfather gets to town.
Oh?
He's put up with old man Wade for years and years. Haven't you any sense of justice, Mr. Earp?
Well, there are always 2 sides to every argument, Miss Fentress.
Those Wades jump our range, they rustle our steers, they bribe the cattle agents so they can load first at the freight pens. Now they bought up all the rooms at the Texas house.
Colonel Wade's coming into town, huh?
Don't call him a colonel. He was only a brevet colonel and a plum coward.
Well, I never argue with ladies.
I'm sorry. I hope you'll forgive me for losing my temper. But it was 6 against 3, and well, my blood just about boiled.
Yeah, I know.
I bet you've lost your temper a few times.
A few times, but, you know, that's one of the worst things a peace officer can do.
Peace. Can't be any now. The Wades are loading guns. They've come into town for the finish fight.
Wyatt, we're going to need some more men. The Wade boys just went into the Texas house and cleaned the gun rack.
You see?
Where are the Fentress men?
Well, Doc Fabrique's patching them up.
All right, let's go down there.
Just the 2 of us, Wyatt?
That'll be plenty. We'll go in the back door.
I'll go too.
No, you stay here and start trying to act like a lady.
All right, put your hands on the bar. You put yours on the table. Come on, move.
Get their guns, Ollie. I give you men a break on the streets. Now you're going to go to jail.
That Fentress girl put you up to this, Earp?
Same law goes for the Fentresses. I've had enough trouble from both outfits. Now go on, get moving. Come on, move.
Come on, move. Hold it. Mary Allen said they beat up on 3 of our boys.
Oh, you're Fentress men, huh? Well, climb down, both of you.
Oh, sticking up for the Wades.
Then climb down.
I'll pull him with the Wades. Go on, move.
Marshal Earp, are you sure you haven't made some dreadful mistake?
Mistake?
Well, it was all right to arrest those Wade cowhands, but you arrested 2 of our men, too. Mr. Brodus here doesn't think it was quite legal.
I'm John H. Brodus, attorney at law.
Howdy. Miss Fentress, your men were arrested because they were drunk and wearing guns. They also told me that you incited them to get even with the Wades.
Why, I never. All I did was tell them how the Wades beat up our boys.
Now, all of this is a little irrelevant.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yes, it is. You know, ever since my arrival in Wichita, I've been quite concerned over your high-handed tactics, Mr. Earp. I've been retained by Miss Fentress here to see that her grandfather's employees are released immediately.
You got a writ of habeas corpus?
Not necessary, young man. All Miss Fentress need do is to tender bail money.
I've got more than $100 right here in this purse.
Now, don't bother. I intend to keep those prisoners for 24 hours. The law gives me that authority. Now, look, if the Wade and Fentress people aim to start a private war, they're not going to start it on the streets of Wichita.
But you have no proof of
And
that.
I don't waste any time on shysters, so you better get out of here.
But you dare call me a
shyster and a fool, and I told you to get out.
I'm going to see Judge Jewett.
Well, you do it. You'll find him right over at the courthouse. You know what's wrong with you? You're a girl. They've never been punched in the nose. Girls seldom are. So a few of them grow up to be spoiled brats.
You're insulting. For But perhaps you're not gentleman enough to know that.
And you haven't got enough brains in your stupid little head to know what you're trying to start. A range war isn't romantic, Miss Fentress. You've seen a lot of men beaten. You want to see them killed, too?
Yes, every one of those Wades.
And where will you be? Wringing your hands in the parlor, I suppose. Sniffling about all the Fentress men that are killed. Well, you make me sick. Now, you get out of here, too.
My grandfather will shoot you.
He's got more brains than to try it. And you tell him for me, if he shows up in this town wearing a gun, he'll wind up in jail. I'll tell that to Wade, too.
What did she do to rumple your...
Forget it. How many deputies have we got?
7, counting me.
All right, send 5 of them over to the Texas house. You tell them to arrest every Wade that shows in town wearing a gun.
Yes, sir.
I'm going over to the Wichita Hotel. I think Fentress will show up this afternoon. You and Paul join me over there later.
Right.
Oh, Grandfather, thank heaven you've come.
You having trouble, Mary Ellen?
Oh, it's that Marshal Earp. He says we can't fight the Wades. 3 of our men got beat up, then he arrested 2 more and took them to jail. And when I got a lawyer to try and get him out, why, he said just dreadful, insulting things to me.
He did, huh?
He treated me like a poor, trashy nobody. Then he took our lawyer and just shoved him out of his office.
I reckon we'll drive straight to the calaboose, Curly. That Earp has needed a teaching for a good spell. Hold on, by Jove!
You Colonel Fentress?
Oh, I am, sir.
Then you're under arrest, sir.
Don't you dare try to
You
take
stay
him.
out of this. She's been trying to start a free-for-all ever since this afternoon.
You think you can stop it?
Well, if you and Colonel Wade haven't got enough sense to stop it yourself, then I'll have to do the job for you. The jail's right this way, sir.
I won't be there long.
No, you won't, Grandfather. Mr. Brodus is seeing the judge right now. And why don't you arrest Wade?
I intend to, as soon as he shows in town. It's too bad I can't arrest you, too. Now, let's get going.
Don't worry, honey. He'll pay for this.
I don't know why you acted with such severity. Colonel Wade and Colonel Fentress may be just blowing off steam.
Not this time, Judge. They told their men to fight it out.
But you don't know that.
Well, Fentress is right in there. Go ask him point blank.
Oh, hang it on, Wyatt. A man's intent doesn't constitute a breach of law. Brodus has been after me to release all the prisoners on bail.
Well, you wouldn't do that.
Why not?
A pitched battle on the streets, innocent bystanders being hurt?
It's a condition of priori criminis. You're asking me as a judge to assume that Wade and Fentress's men will actually shoot at each other.
That's right.
Brodus is a shyster, but he knows enough law to realize that you put me in an embarrassing position. Why, old man Wade isn't even in town. No matter what Fentress threatens, it takes 2 to make a quarrel. Don't you see that I'm stretching the law? Don't lose your temper, Wyatt.
Oh, I think I'm doing right well, considering there's a range war about to bust loose in this town. And you quote Latin.
Let me tell you...
Oh, wait a minute, Judge. You listen to me. If you grant those men bail or sign writs of habeas corpus, I won't honor the papers.
Indeed.
Now, you're the judge, but I'm the marshal. If Brodus gets you to sign papers, they have to be enforced. Well, I won't enforce them, and neither will my men.
Do you realize what you're saying?
I took an oath to keep peace in Wichita, and that's what I aim to do.
As long as you're a marshal.
Well, sir, in order to remove me, you have to have a trial. Mayor Hope is out of town, so you can't fire me.
Wyatt, don't fuck.
Excuse me, Wyatt. Old man Wade just got in.
Where is he?
Sitting over the lobby of the Texas house. He's just loaded with shooting iron. We didn't want to tackle him without you knowing about it. Looks like a gunfight.
Wade is right peaceful, isn't he? Well, maybe you better come along and find out what his priority criminis condition is for yourself.
No. If he refuses to surrender his weapons, you arrest him.
Thank you. I will.
And another thing, Earp didn't throw Fentress and his boys in jail to stop a fight. He threw them in the calaboose to protect them from my boys. I hear he's sweet on Mary Ellen Fentress. What kind of a law is that? A short-horned marshal taking sides with Fentress. I ask you.
Colonel,
Now, don't get scared, son. Just keep your hands away from your gun.
Marshal Earp says you'll either have to check those weapons or be arrested.
Well, so that's what Earp says, eh?
Yes, sir.
Well, you just tell him to come here and try and arrest me. That's what I'm waiting for. What's the matter? Didn't you hear me? I said tell him.
I'm right here, Mr. Wade.
Yeah, that's just what you do, Earp. Sneak up behind a man.
I didn't want to have to kill you.
A typical sneaky Earp trick.
Come on, stand up. We'll take a little walk to jail.
I'll have a lot of my boys here around sunup. How long do you think I'll stay in jail?
Just as long as I want you. Now get your hat.
Yeah, I heard about you.
Well, I declare. It's Brevet Colonel Yellow Jack Wade. You just better stay in jail if you know what's good for you.
Let's go.
Marshal Earp, please. I was wrong. You did arrest Colonel Wade. I'd mighty well like to apologize.
All right.
Please. Can't we be friends?
Why?
Well, I just might be able to persuade Grandfather to call off the fight.
Why would you do that?
Well, in all my life, no man ever talked to me the way you did. And it started me to thinking. If you'd escort me to the lobby of the Wichita Hotel, I'd mighty well like to talk it over.
All right.
And then I got to thinking, what's all this awful fussing about? Just because Grandfather says Wade didn't support the 9th Virginia Regiment at the Battle of Malvern Hill. That was 12 years ago, Mr. Earp.
And that's what started all the trouble, huh?
Uh-huh, truly it did. See, Wade was in charge of a Carolina regiment. But he turned yellow and he ordered his wonderful men to turn back, exposing Grandfather's position. I know it was a terrible thing for Wade to do, but all the same, it just doesn't seem right that Grandfather should nurse revenge all these years, now does it?
No.
But what you said about me, that I'd weep crocodile tears in the parlor while our men and theirs were getting shot, what made me see myself as a mean, cruel person. Am I really that wicked, Mr. Earp?
Well, I don't know any saints in Wichita, Miss Ventris.
But you'd like me to prove I've changed by getting them to call off the fight.
Your character's none of my business, but... Well, you might win a big star for your halo if you could put an end to this round.
I'll need your help.
How?
Well, just getting Grandfather to call off the war wouldn't settle it. You'd have to agree to let him and his men out of jail.
And hold the Wades, hmm?
Uh-huh. That'd give us time to get out of town. Everybody'd have a chance to cool off.
All right. You and I'll have a little talk with Colonel Fentress.
And if things work out peaceable, we'll be friends? Oh, that's right, fine of you, Mr. Earp. You know, you're the first man that ever told me the truth about myself.
Yeah, well, let's go find out what your grandfather has to say.
I'm sure Grandfather will listen to me.
I hope so.
Mary Ellen, what are you doing here?
Grandfather, I've come to an agreement with Mr. Earp. He's going to turn us all loose if you promise to stop fighting the Wade.
Oh, I thought so. Earp is a good-looking scamp, and he's turned your head.
Grandfather, how can you say such a thing?
Forget it, Miss Fentress. Colonel's determined to have a war.
I make no deal with you, Earp. I don't have to.
No?
Brothers has telegraphed the governor, and the governor is a personal friend of mine.
Grandfather, I'd given...
Mind your manners, Mary Ellen. No lady would associate with a fellow like Earp. You go along back to the hotel. Immediately. You and that small-town judge will soon be out of jobs.
Paul? Send Colonel Wade in here. I'm going to make you the same offer I made to Fentress. I'll keep him and his men in jail here for a while and let your crowd go free, if you'll promise to get out of town.
And make peace, I suppose.
I don't care what you and Fentress do outside the city limits. But I'm not going to have any gunfire in the streets of Wichita.
You're bluffing with a poor hand, Earp. A pair of deuces.
Oh, I am, huh?
Yes, you are. Of course, Fentress wired the governor and we'll be out of here by morning. And so will you, Sonny.
Wyatt, a Fentress cowhand and a Wade gunslinger are making showdown talk on Douglas Avenue. They've hid their guns, so we just can't arrest them.
Let's go down and get it.
What have you been doing sitting around here talking? You wouldn't let them run us out of town? Come on, get out of the way. You've been doing enough talk. Why don't you draw?
This one's dead.
This one's still breathing. He's wearing Bar W spurs. First blood for Colonel Fentress. All right, you men, take him on over to Doc Fabrique's.
Give him a hand.
Lift him careful.
Wyatt, the jig's up. A writ of mandamus from the court in Topeka. We've got to release both Wade and Fentress outfits.
According to what the court says.
Now,
Well,
Wyatt...
they said it, let them enforce it.
I'll be impeached, and you'll be fired.
Look, there's one man dead and another man so badly wounded he'll be crippled for life. And do you know why? Because 12 years ago, Fentress accused Wade of being cowardly at the Battle of Malvern Hill. Ollie, bring Fentress and Wade in here. Judge, I'm going to say something to them that you won't want to hear. Will you leave us alone?
But you don't understand. A writ of mandamus...
Judge, please.
Good night, Wyatt.
Good night, sir. Have a seat, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Colonel Wade, one of your men was just killed in a gunfight down at the Texas house.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Colonel Fentress, your man was shot up so badly he'll be crippled for life.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, neither one of you cares a hoot. They're both just nobodies in your own private little war. All right, gentlemen. Come morning, you'll have your own little private war and your own little private battlefield.
Battlefield? What do you mean?
I mean that you and Colonel Fentress are going to fight the next battle all by yourselves. These are your guns.
You suggesting a duel, sir?
I don't care what you call it. But tomorrow morning, my men and I are going to take you to Denby's horse barn. There's nice thick walls so that no innocent bystander can get hurt. This is your fight, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
Well, then I assume you have no objection to fighting it out personally. Or would you rather have it fought by boys who never even saw Malvern Hill?
No. I'm ready. So am I.
Good. I just hope you're both as brave as your hired hands. Oh, and don't worry. If either of you is killed, your great attorney, Mr. Brodus, can appeal it to the Supreme Court. Have a good night's rest, gentlemen.
Good night.
All right, gentlemen. Here are your guns. There are 3 bullets in each. Check the cylinders. Now, Ollie will open the door. You walk in side by side. Then you'll make your own arrangements as to when to start the fight and the distance between you. You understand? Any time, gentlemen.
Grandfather! Where's my grandfather?
Take it easy. Your grandfather and Colonel Wade went inside the barn to shoot it out.
Are you mad? He's an old man. He doesn't see very well.
He's no older than Wade.
But he'll be killed.
It's 6, Ollie. Open the door.
My grandfather, you killed him. He's dead, you murderer. Grandfather! Grandfather, thank heaven.
I'm all right, honey. Wretched bad shooting.
Take him to Dr. Breeks.
I hate you.
Oh, there, Mary Ellen. The war's over. Jack and I decided we've had enough. Come on, Jack.
Go ahead, Colonel.
Thank you, Colonel.
I'm sorry. I lost my temper.
I lost my temper, too, but I'm not sorry. Just for once, the old fools who started a range war had to fight it out themselves.
Please. Can't we be friends, Mr. Herb?
The war's over for you, too. Huh? You know, the courts are not going to like any of this.
Would it be all right if I sort of fell in love with you?
Nope. I'm under a writ of mandamus.
A writ of... What's that?
Well, that means I can't get married for years.
Brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, starring Hugh O'Brien. When George Morris raided Dodge City and was temporarily crippled in a gunfight with Marshal Earp and Deputy Bat Masterson, it was generally believed that George would make no more trouble. But in his lust for vengeance, Morris hired a sharpshooter with a buffalo gun to kill Wyatt from a distant ambush. Wyatt's enemies had often hired gunfighters to pick a quarrel with him and face-to-face kill the marshal in a showdown with .45s. But Morris's scheme was new and deadly. It presented Wyatt with an assassin hiding beyond six-gun range, an unknown stranger skilled at stalking buffalo and men.
You, Mrs. Hamble?
That's me. Who are you?
My name's Rufe Hawes. Got a note here, Summers, from your brother.
You're dirty. You smell like a buffalo hunter.
Shut up and mind your manners. You'll have to excuse Annie Mae. She took after Paul. Never hear from George Morris until he wants a favor.
Uncle George, what to say? What to say?
Hush! Dump them clothes in the tub over there.
Yes, sir.
There's no room in the house. It wouldn't be proper nohow. I reckon you can batch in the barn.
Suits me. One thing, though, it can't get around that I'm here.
I ain't one to gossip, mister.
How about the kid?
Annie Mae? Annie Mae, come here.
Yes, sir?
This here's Mr. Hawes. He's a friend of your Uncle George.
He sure needs washing.
Never mind that. He's gonna stay in the barn for a few days, and you're not to tell a living soul he's here, understand?
Oh. Is he on the Dodge?
No, I ain't. You want to get cut?
No, sir, let go of me!
You tell anybody I'm here, and that's what'll happen to you.
I won't tell, mister.
No need of scaring the wits out of the child. She's got few enough as it is.
What I said goes for both of you. I aim to be friendly, and I'll pay good rent. But you better be scared to stay scared. I don't want to see nobody nosing around. Is that straight?
Suits me. He ain't joking. He would cut you.
Yes, sir.
You just make out like I wasn't here. We'll get along fine. Where I go and what I do ain't no concern of yours, right?
How much? Well, that's a whole month's washing almost.
So keep it a secret.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is it?
The clerk. I thought I heard a shot and some glass breaking.
You did. Somebody took a shot at me. Go get Mr. Masterson.
Yes, sir, right away. Mighty big hole. Oh, I should have stayed in Chicago.
Hurry it up, will you?
Yes, sir.
This must have come from a rifle.
No, it's from a buffalo gun. Caliber .45-70. Might even be a 50 caliber. I think he fired from the roof of McGuire's warehouse. We'll go around the corner. You keep about 10 feet in back of me and watch for a muzzle flash.
Oh, you set yourself up as a target? Well, that's darn foolishness.
You working for me?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
You hurt?
No. Stay low.
There are the footprints, but no empty shells.
He must be a buffalo hunter. They always reload their own cartridges. He took his shell cases with him. You know, I can't figure this. I was a buffalo hunter. I got along well enough with all the other hunters.
Somebody hired him to bushwhack you.
Yeah, must be.
You think he's given up?
That all depends on how bad he wants me.
Well, this is the worst yet. The skunk that throws lead at you from 300 or 400 yards.
And he didn't miss my much either. It's a good thing I was moving or he'd have got me. It's an awful good shot.
What are we going to do now?
Well, the buffalo hunter is used to shooting at a standing target, so I reckon I better keep moving fast. In the meantime...
You need a bodyguard, Wyatt.
In the meantime, you round up the rest of the deputies. Tour the town. Find out if any strangers came in.
I'm staying with you.
No. Any sharpshooter that can put a bullet through the crown of my hat from a block away isn't going to be bothered with any bodyguard. You could pick me off in a crowd of 20 men.
Wyatt, for gosh sake, why don't you hold up for a couple of days? Give us a chance to find him.
Because I can't. I can't leave town, and I can't hole up. But I tell you what I will do. I'll be real quick and nimble like. I'll get going.
Yoo-hoo, Mr. Masterson! Yoo-hoo! Marshal up ain't at the hotel. And I look for you every place. This is yours, Mr. Ebbs. I'll put roses on yours, see?
Thanks, Anna Mae. How much?
Ma says $1.50, but you pay the 50. And I'll charge Marshall up the $1. He's rich.
You know, you're growing up with a lot of wrong ideas, kid. But I got no time for a Sunday school lesson.
$2? I ain't got change.
Well, you keep the $50. Delivery charge.
I don't want nothing extra. I just want, well, to be your best girl.
All right. You're my best girl.
Honest? Am I?
Cross my heart.
Any luck?
Nah. We went through that south side like lightning. My best girl brought the laundry.
Yeah, well, you stick to Annie Mae.
I don't know. I think I ought to teach that girl some moral training. And did you check all the hotels?
Yeah? None of their guests have ever been buffalo hunters. Well, a man couldn't walk down Front Street toting a buffalo gun without being noticed. I think he's an old-timer. Maybe a Johnny Reb who learned his snipe shooting in the war.
Well, what do we do next? Over there.
Picnic grounds. Go get the boys.
Charlie, Mac.
Goodbye.
Oh, hey, what's the hurry?
You would listen. Marshal Earp, listen to my secret.
Come on now, what secret?
I gotta go home and tell Mr. Hawes.
Yeah? Tell him what?
Quit your mussing my hair.
Come on now, you tell me who Mr. Hawes is and what you're gonna tell him.
Well, he's the man that's been shooting him, you know? So I gotta tell him Marshal Earp's going into the picnic grounds to look for him. All by himself.
All by himself, huh?
I gotta go. Am I still your best girl?
You bet your life you are. My best sweetheart.
Anime, come on here!
Yes, right here! You better look out, Mr. Hawes. I just seen Marshal Earp go into the picnic ground.
How many was with him?
All by himself. Mr. Masterson and the others went back to town.
Did Earp have a rifle with him?
Yes, sir, and his 2 big pistols.
Anime, what are you telling?
None of your business, so long as it's the truth. I sure am out of practice.
Wyatt, he's down. I think I got him.
Stay out of this, Pat! Hold your fire!
He's in the gully now. He hasn't got a gun. Let's rush him.
No. He's got houses behind him now.
There he goes.
Wait a minute. You head right for the Hamble place. We can beat him there. Come on.
But the shooting's died down, and they must have caught Mr. Hawes. Why do we have to leave?
We've been harboring a criminal, and your Uncle George is going to have to fix things. Now, you wait here until I close up the barn.
Real smart, ain't you? Getting me trapped by Earp and another fellow dressed just like him.
Don't you cut me! Mom!
Don't kill me. I'm bleeding to death.
You'll be all right. Get some towels and some water.
Shouldn't we take him over to Doc McCoy?
No.